everybody, welcome back to Life Under Deborah's Palm, where this is kind of the part 2 to the healing, because I promised that I would tell my story of being healed of fear and anxiety, and I didn't even know that's what it was, truthfully, when it happened. So I'm in my 50s now, but when I was about maybe 23, 4, 5, somewhere in my early 20s. I still remember when it happened. I was with my husband, who wasn't my husband yet, and we had taken a trip to New Jersey. We were on the Garden State Expressway somewhere between Atlantic City and Wildwood on a Saturday morning, and it was a zoo show. It was bumper to bumper traffic. No big deal. And all of a sudden, in the bumper to bumper traffic, I thought, oh my God, look at all these cars. We're trapped. This is going on in my brain. We're trapped. I can't get out. And I never said anything. I just bit my tongue and I kind of went, that's not true. And I don't know. And where's this coming from? And it didn't happen again for actually a long time. And I kind of let it go. But then I had a very similar experience in my city. I was headed to a class at the college I attended, and there was construction on the route that I took to get there, and it was same thing, wall-to-wall traffic, and I had the same experience, like, oh my gosh, I'm trapped. Like, I was like neighbors, I was half claustrophobic. I was darn near on the verge of freaking out when I had to say to myself, you know what, you need to stop. You're not stuck in traffic. If something happens, you just put your car in park, take your keys, and walk away. You're not trapped. Why was I thinking that? Where was this coming from? Well, I used that technique to basically get myself out of it. And it went away, and it went away for a long, long time. Bug. It went away for years, and I never gave it another thought until I think it was about 7 years ago. I was sitting in a restaurant with my husband, and I don't really remember what triggered it, but all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh. It was like this wave. I could physically feel it. I don't know if it's like, I don't know, adrenaline or something being released through your body, and I could feel it, and all of a sudden I felt like I was gonna puke, and I got up and I said, oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna be sick, and I literally ran out the front door of the restaurant, and it was like January, it was freezing out, and I stood there for a minute and I'm like, why do I think I'm gonna be sick? Like, I'm hungry. Like, that doesn't even make sense. And I went back in and I sat down and I couldn't shake it. And I had to get up and leave the restaurant. And I went through these weirdo waves of, I'll say nausea, but it really wasn't. And this went on, and I got home, and my husband, we had driven separately. We had met there. And as I said, I'm going to talk about what God sounds like when he speaks. So you're just going to have to listen to me say what God said. But I instantly knew. He's like, you need to call him. He'll pray for you. That'll be it. So I called my husband and said, you know, and he did. And it was like, it left immediately. And I was like, okay, well, that was weird. And after that, like a few weeks later, I kind of went through similar things where I would have this weird feeling wave, and I would get kind of freaky, and I would feel kind of nauseous, and yet my stomach wasn't bothering me, and it was very bizarre. And finally, after about this started in January, I would say it was about March of going through this on and off. I heard the Lord say to me very clearly, he said, you need to stand up to this. When you feel this, you tell this, no, you aren't going to do this. I'm not going to put up with it. And I was like, okay. So I did that, and it worked, and it didn't work once. Like, I had to do it, and it just stopped. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't know what all that was about, but okay, fine. And then June came, and it was late June, and my husband is a school teacher, and he was up finishing his grades at like 2 in the morning because it was the end of the school year. And I woke up, I had some funny dream or something, and I woke up and I opened my eyes and I was laying there, and about 15 seconds later, I started to feel really weird. I was like, what? Why do I feel weird? Like something's wrong in my body. Well, I took my fingers and I went like this, and my heart beat was like, I don't even know what, 200 beats per minute. I don't know, but it couldn't beat any faster. And I was like, what the heck is going on? So I get up, go downstairs, explain it to my husband, feel perfectly fine. Feel absolutely perfectly fine, other than my heart is beating at 200 beats a minute, and nothing was wrong. And I said, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I just don't know what to do. Do I go to the hospital? I don't know what to do. And finally, after about 10 minutes of this, I said, I guess maybe we should go because this isn't normal. I don't know. And neither of us wanted to go. So I go into the bathroom to, think, okay, I got to get changed. And it immediately stops. Like immediately, it just drops back to normal. And I went, okay, that was really weird. So I said to my husband, we really need to hear what's going on. Is this a literal physical thing, or is this something a doctor's going to chase and never find? Because it's not a physical issue. And went to bed, whatever, chalked the whole thing off, and about maybe 3 weeks later, exact same thing happened. I woke up in the middle of the night out of some weird dream. About 15 to 20 seconds later, I could feel my heart go doo-doo, and it was like I could feel the jump in the speed, and it jumped twice. It was almost like a car shifting gears, for those of you who've ever had a Standard, but it felt like a car shifting gears. And I was like, what is going on? And now it's about July, and I had this real strong sense that it was not a physical issue for a few reasons. One, it always happened when I came out of a dream. Two, always happened at night. It seems to me if it was a physical issue, I felt like it would happen at any time of the day, and I thought, something's wrong. So I don't know what's going on, but I figured out that the dreams that I was having had a sense of fear in it, but in the dream I wasn't fearful, but as soon as I woke up, my heart would go through this crazy thing. So I'd say about 5 or 6 weeks into this, I said, I gotta know. I've got to know what's going on. And it was the middle of the night, and I'm like, Lord, you have got to tell me. I'm not going to do this forever. And sorry, truck. And I just have to know. And I had a dream. And long story short, this is what I was told in the dream. It said this is a spirit of fear. Now, there's a fear that's normal that keeps us hopefully from doing dumb things, or gets us out of situations that we know that we shouldn't be. That's an emotion. This is a spirit. And he said it's a spirit of fear. And you're gonna have to fight this thing. And it is, and I went, okay, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. And I was given this scripture, and I'm really not a great scripture quoter, so I have to look this up, but it says, my perfect love casts out all fear. And I thought, okay, I said, okay, what do I do with this? And he said, when you feel your heart begin to race, you're going to begin to speak that. And I would wake up and I would feel it start to go up, and I'm like, no, perfect love casts out all fear, and we're not going there. And it would stop dead in its tracks, and I would feel it go back down. And I thought, this is the weirdest thing I've ever been through. And then it worked. That worked for a little while. And then it kind of started again, and I was like, why is this? It was almost like it stopped working. And the next thing the Lord told me was, regardless of what your heart feels like, you're going to get out of your bed and you're going to worship. And I thought, okay. And I did. And I would worship and I would be going like this and my heart would be racing. And it worked. It was a hard thing to fight, but everything I went through, God had given me a strategy for. You're going to speak to this thing. You're going to deal with it. And it's hard when your heart wants to go like super fast. It's really a difficult thing to kind of get a grip on. And I think if I didn't get a grip on it, I would get even worse. I think it really would have become debilitating. So ultimately, as I went through that, I began to get a grip on it, and the Lord said to me, and I guess I never realized this, He said, what's getting called anxiety is fear. He said, you can call it what you want, but it's fear. He said, what you have experienced, like in the restaurant, were panic attacks. And on the Garden State Expressway and every place else, he goes, those were panic attacks. They're rooted in fear. I don't know what I thought a panic attack was. I guess I thought they were, I'll say, more debilitating. Like, I have heard stories of people that experience what I did and literally they freeze. And I guess I just didn't understand that was what it was, a panic attack. And once I started to hear God and hear Him tell me what was going on, He had given me the strategies to defeat it. And ultimately I did. Now, it didn't happen overnight. This went on for about, I'd say, a year. But what happened was the same thing, that compressing of time where it kept getting closer and closer. The more I learned how to deal with it, it got farther and farther and farther apart until it would happen every once in a while. And what I realized what was happening was I was given two strategies. And that fear kept trying to come back, and I was looking for a new strategy, but there really wasn't one. I just had to stick with what I knew and go, you're done. You're not coming in here. I'm not going there. You know, God has given me His perfect love through Jesus, and therefore you don't get to stay here anymore. Those were the kinds of things I really had to speak out. And I'm sorry, my dog, no, leave it. My dog wants to play with the camera. Leave it. I had to learn to battle with those things. And what happened was, even after it had, I felt like, oh, this is it. It's gone. Every once in a while, it would try to come back. And I would just have to go, get out. I'm over you. I've already dealt with this. And you don't get to come back. And that was how I got through it. It was a total of, I'd say, about a good year, and I think for another maybe year and a half, every once in a great while, like every 4 or 5 months, it would try. I'd start to feel that heartbeat come up, but it didn't. It never, I guess, took hold. So I don't know if that helps any of you, but that was how I got through it and completely defeated. It doesn't bother me at all anymore. It's been about 6 years. I don't have those issues anymore. But it did take me a little bit to get through it. So that's my story of being healed from panic attacks and anxiety and fear, which really, as God said, it's all fear. I mean, that's what it is. It's a spirit of fear. So I hope that helps somebody out there, gives you some ideas of what you're dealing with, and gives you some ideas on how to get through it. So until the next time, be blessed.